One of the first things that happened to me in China, I nearly got scammed. I was walking down the street in central Beijing and this woman came up to me. She was about 30, well dressed, well presented. She was friendly, just asking normal questions, where was I from? What was I doing in China? The usual stuff. And then she said, "Do you want to go for tea?" Now, the day before, one of my colleagues had warned me about this exact thing, the tea shop scam. So I wasn't sure, but I still walked with her all the way to the shop entrance. And then I just stopped. She was beckoning me in, and I declined. I said, "No, sorry, not interested." And I walked off. And that was it. Looking back, if I hadn't have been warned the day before, I probably would have gone in and got scammed. So this is actually a pretty common scam in parts of China, the touristy areas of Beijing and Shanghai. Someone approaches you, starts a friendly conversation, invites you for tea, and they take you to a specific tea shop, and you drink tea, and they tell you it's luxury tea, and at the end you're given a huge bill into the hundreds of dollars. Really, it's just average tea, not luxury tea. And it can get quite confrontational if you don't pay. And that was one of the first things that happened to me in China. But what actually surprised me about living there wasn't that. One thing that really surprised me was how little cash people used. Hardly anyone pays with cash anymore. It's all WeChat Pay or Alipay. You do that by scanning on your phone with the QR code. Not just in shops either. You can send money to people directly just by scanning a QR code. I remember at the beginning trying to use cash and it just felt a bit awkward, like no one really used it. And after a while, you get used to it. In fact, it's a lot more convenient than using cash. But at first, it felt like stepping into the future compared to the UK. In my time in China, I went months and months without using cash a single time. Another thing that surprised me was how friendly people were. People would come up to you, talk to you, help you, show you interest, especially as a foreigner. In bars or restaurants, people would say cheers, offer you a cigarette, even offer you a drink. It was really welcoming. But at the same time, I couldn't fully take advantage of that because I could hardly speak Chinese. So even though people were friendly, the language barrier did make things difficult. So it didn't always translate into real connection or easy communication. Another shocking thing was how common smoking and drinking were. Smoking in particular, you see it everywhere. It's very socially accepted, especially among men. Offering a cigarette is the common way to break the ice. I also remember there were no health warnings on cigarette packets, and in convenience stores, you'd see the entire wall filled with cigarettes in 200 packs. And they were really cheap as well, much cheaper than the UK. The cheapest pack was like £1 for 20, and then you could pay more, up to say £5 or £6 for luxury cigarettes. And technically, smoking is banned in bars and restaurants, but in reality, that rule often gets ignored. And then there were the smaller things that just felt strange at first. I remember going into a noodle restaurant in Beijing in summer, and I ordered a cold noodle dish. And they brought me a glass of warm water. And I looked at it and I felt it, and I thought, why is this warm? But it was for drinking. I later found out there's this belief that warm water is better for your body, better for digestion. And I don't know how true that is, but it definitely stuck with me. But I still prefer cold water to drink. So China wasn't what I expected. A lot of things felt more normal than I imagined, and other things completely caught me off guard. And that mix of the familiar and the unexpected is probably what stayed with me the most. Thanks for watching.